Check, check, check.
Yeah, we're all here, man. We're all here. I think we've escaped the curse.
We sure have, and it is so nice.
Isn't it just? Isn't it just? So
Yeah.
what have you been doing with yourself since we last spoke?
I've just been so busy. I've been doing a lot of comedy stuff. I was house sitting on top of all that, which, I'm not trying
Right.
to, do podcasting at someone else's house or something. Rather
Yeah.
be here with the records behind me, got my nice mic here.
Yeah.
Feel like it's tradition we talk every 10 days.
It's getting that way, really, isn't it? It's
It really has.
yeah, yeah. We've become best metal comedy chums. Um it's cool, honestly. I so enjoyed um our first interview where it was just all comedy. That was just, yeah, it's just not something I get to do very often because people just want to talk to me about music and that's it. I've spent 22 years being a stand-up comedian, and all people want to talk about are some albums that I released when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Including
Yeah.
yourself, mate. But shit happens. At least you wanted to talk about the new one as well. um,
Yeah, yeah, of course. I
yeah.
try to because I have a podcast too, and I try to do that.
Yes.
Sometimes
Great
I
name, by the
hate.
way.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. It comes from Born Again from Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
Because originally my podcast, it was supposed to be a doom metal podcast,
Oh, right.
but for some reason, thrash guys just love doing interviews. I just cannot get any doom bands on. I've tried. And then I
Okay.
just said, fuck it. And I reached out to Toxic.
Well, that's that. This is my theory, right? Doom, right? Doom is metal's version of goth, because goth is not metal. Yeah, it's its own thing. And I think doom is as close as we get to goth. And what I'm getting at is that people who play doom metal usually don't do it with a smile on their face, and they're backlit, and they don't do meet and greets. And this is basically what I'm getting to is there's a certain kind of musician person who plays doom metal. And that leads to not hearing many doom bands doing interviews. That's my
You're a
it's my
hundred
own
percent right.
crackpot theory. I'd like to put that out there.
I think that's a very accurate theory. I also think like thrash is like it's a very tight knit community too.
Yeah.
Like it's a very social thing, where doom is very isolated, sad, depressed. So of course I feel you're
I
not going
know.
to get people wanting to
Well,
talk on a podcast.
I can only speak as I find, and the one soul doom musician that I know is a complete and total misanthrope. Um, um, and without wanting to sound like a twat, which basically means they hate people. And they're not very good with people. Bearing in mind, it's a friend of mine. Yeah, but so it happily release albums and never play a fucking gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's and he's quite a solitary chap. So yeah,
Hmm. I don't know. Just with doom metal's weird. You know what I mean? Like some guys
yeah,
I've
I know what
interviewed
you
a
mean.
couple bands. I got some local guys because local guys, they want the exposure.
Yeah, the exposure. You
Yeah.
can't be doing that, because when a promoter writes to you and says, "Hey, I'm going to pay you very little, but it'll be great exposure out here in
Yeah.
bumfuck Illinois," because the local newspaper is going to come down and review it. So your career is fucking set, and that's why we're going to pay you $5.
That's my favorite comedy book. Or they're like, listen, like
Yeah.
we'll give you some time, but like I'm paying you in the exposure. It's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you're getting time to hone your craft. It's like when promoters say, "Well, we haven't got much money, but we'll really look after you." And it's like, "Oh no, that's okay. We'll just take the money, thanks."
Yeah.
It's like Well, to be honest, being really well looked after was kind of what we expected along with the money, not instead of it.
Yeah.
But sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, we're going off. You were saying you got some local bands on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's very classic. I feel like even with when I had you on, we were talking about like Megadeth and stuff. It took us so long to actually start talking about Acid Rain.
Absolutely. Like, two comedians trying to have a conversation about one topic that's not comedy. Forget it.
It's hard. It's very hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had this so I got some local guys on, and the one guy, this took forever. And I'm like, you know what? Forget Doom. I'm just gonna focus on thrash right now. I got
Brilliant.
Bobby Liebling of Pentagram on.
Right. Okay. Well done.
Thank you. So the interview, so it was like 2 months in the making, just because of technical issues, things going on with Bobby, getting kicked. He got kicked out of his house, trying to get him on. I literally got this thing where you click a link and you're just in it. It's not even Zoom. It's like the easiest thing ever. And he couldn't figure it out. I think he was using like a flip phone or something. I'm like, forget it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so we ended up just doing the interview on Facebook Messenger. So if you
Yep.
watch the interview, I'm super pixelated because I had to take that little window I'm in and just blow it up. And I'm
Oh,
quiet.
mate.
The whole thing's on Facebook. So, but
Brilliant.
you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I'm sticking to thrash.
Yeah. Well, but like you were saying about it being a tight knit community, guaranteed. Usually, if I'm interviewing somebody from a thrash band, it doesn't matter what country they're from. Someone's going to come up in the conversation we both know. And I don't mean just like no, as in that person would be like, "Oh, you two guys, hey," it's like it's true, and especially when you've been around, since the beginning of thrash time, like I have. I mean, we had a first album out in 1988. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, it's late, compared to the Big Four and everybody else, but we were playing catch up. But anyway, fuck it. This
Yeah,
is
well,
supposed to be about.
UK Big Four, like that's
Yeah,
something,
true.
as
It
you called
is.
it a microscopic four. But
Yeah,
I think like
yeah.
it's a big four of a scene, you know what I mean? And I think that's still like a huge accomplishment,
I
especially in just like the legacy of thrash metal. You know what I
thank
mean?
thank you very much. And yeah, do you know what? I laugh about it and all the rest of it, but it is, and I'll be honest. I mean, I'm single. I live alone. I've done for the last 15 years. I mean, I haven't been single for 15 years. Fucking hell. But I find myself single. I've never been married. I don't have any children. You know, and I, getting on in years, I do, think that, most people's legacy is leaving another version of them behind. Well, I won't be doing that. So for me, my legacy, to the world that I was here is my music. And that's that it becomes, possibly more important later in life. And things like being in the UK Big Four and all the rest of it. I do find myself thinking about it occasionally, and I find it sort of popping into my thoughts way, way more than it used to. But that's maybe just a time of life thing. But I do, I
Yeah.
do, I do appreciate it. I do. I really, really do appreciate it. I do look back on, you know, what we did and what we've done and what we're doing, and it's all with it, with immense pride, I have to say. And I don't, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah, and it's just such an amazing accomplishment. I think the reason you're able to do that is because, we're talking like 88, like 2023, so much time has passed and you can really look back at it now instead of be
Yeah.
like, I'm in it, I'm still in it, and it's not like thrash metal's dead or anything, but you've seen it die and then come back. It's had a full life cycle at this point.
Yeah,
So
I,
it
I
is
agree.
must be cool to look back at it and be like, okay, that, it's a piece of history. It is definitely, most definitely a piece of music history right there. And it's really cool, and it's definitely, I think, to cherish. And that's why, like, I do, like, just like this podcast, comedy. It's all about trying to, like, leave a legacy and have a print
Yeah,
on things.
yeah, yeah.
It's our lifestyle, I guess.
I was always just like, my ego was just chasing more, more, more all the time. That's usually, how performers work. Um,
Yeah.
but so how long have you been podcasting now?
Oh my God. So I've been doing it like a year now.
Right.
So I started out as like a discussion podcast. I really started, it was just me on a mic, no video or anything, just
Hang
talking
on, hang
about,
on. Can I just stop you there, right? So
okay.
it started out as a discussion podcast. It was going to be a doom metal podcast.
Yeah.
So was it a discussion about doom metal?
All right, let me
Uh,
give you the whole timeline right
right.
here.
Okay.
Here's
Yeah.
the whole timeline of the podcast.
Yeah.
It started as just me on a mic, no video, no nothing. And I'd have a different topic every time. Like literally the first episode of Disturbing the Priest is just called The Birth of Heavy Metal. And I just give my thoughts on like Black Sabbath, heavy metal, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I have album reviews. I did a whole retrospective on the album Dope Smoker by Sleep. And then from there, I jumped onto Zoom, but instead of interviewing artists, I had other comedians come on and we like debated stuff like prog metal discussion. I have a video which is like, great bands that lost their mojo. You know what I mean? Like great
Right.
bands that kind of went to shit.
That's awesome.
Um, and then I'm like, you know what? I am done talking with comics. They're impossible to schedule. They're
Yeah.
so inconsistent. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna stick with musicians. I reached out to several doom bands. No one got back to me. I was listening to Toxic a bunch because Dismorta came out, their third record. So I'm like, you know what? Why not? There's no way
It's
they're gonna
it's
get back to
it's,
me.
it's insane that record. Absolutely. I burst out
Very
laughing.
good.
I burst out laughing when I first heard it.
Oh yeah, why?
Yeah. Well, because it's fucking nuts. That's why. I mean, come on, musically, it's
Yeah.
fucking nuts. I honestly, I was like, this sounds like the music. This sounds like the soundtrack to like some thrash metal game that has just come out. And
It's
like,
so
yeah,
wild. And
yeah,
that's something, that's a
insane.
whole another can of worms about, that's a whole discussion topic alone, like
Yeah.
thrash bands that have just made such an awesome comeback, and I would put Acid Rain in that category too, and
Oh,
I
stop
feel,
it.
no, I'm serious. Because
Uh,
you listen to Toxic, you listen to their new record, and that's their third album. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like, and the gap is insane.
yeah,
And then you listen to it and it's like, holy shit.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this came out in 2023, like almost 30, like pretty much 30 years
yeah,
after the last one. And it fucking kicks ass. How
yeah.
did they pull that off? And it was
Well,
crazy.
yeah.
I
Well,
reached out.
a shout out to Vomitory, who have just done the same. They haven't brought an album. They haven't done an album for 12 years. The band's been on hiatus, and they've come back, and the album absolutely fucking slays. It's
Vomitory.
yeah, yeah,
Never heard
and
of them.
it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it's death metal, but occasionally there's kind of like early creator vibes, like
Ooh.
Pleasure to Kill vibes, you know what I mean? Because there's a whole other fucking discussion on like Pleasure to Kill. Is that a death metal
Yeah,
record?
that's
Yes, it is. Is it a thrash metal? Yes, it just turns out it's both. You know,
yeah.
we didn't know it at the time. We do now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So shout out to Vomitory. So you got in touch with Toxic.
Yeah, cool. Vomit, that I'll check them out. And also
Do
I
it.
think
Yeah.
Slammer's put out a new record too. And
Slammer.
yeah, I believe they're putting out a new album
Really?
because they just reunited. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Well, you're telling me. I was completely unaware of this.
I am 80% sure they're working on material because I know they just reunited. I actually reached out to them too. I'm like, yo, pretty sick. And they're like, yeah, we're not doing interviews or anything, but we are like, we just reunited. We're back in the studio. So I'm like, oh, sweet. So very exciting, and I love Slammer's first record. But and I hope that's true. I really hope uh I remembering that correctly, because that'd be
Well,
sweet. But
let me just check. I'm
yeah, go check real quick.
yeah, because
That's
this
what's
is like,
so nice. That's what's so nice about you. You have, not only are you a comic, but you have ins to the industry here. You can just a few
well,
taps on your screen and find things out personally.
yeah, I mean, it's
This is your scene we're talking about.
oh well, I suppose UK scene, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
UK
UK scene
scene.
is definitely right. Let's have a look. So yeah, I can ping a message across. Um, but yeah, I hadn't heard. Um, yeah, I hadn't heard that they'd brought anything new out, or they were bringing
I
anything new
don't.
out.
Nothing's out currently.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they're like, because they just reunited.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All I knew was that they were planning some shows. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do. But yeah, so all right, Toxic. All
Yeah.
right. So I reach out, and they get back to me and they're like, "Yeah, we'll have the whole band on." I'm like,
Wow.
"What?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So that first interview I did, I was kind of like shitting myself a little bit, because it was like, and I had
Oh yeah.
technical difficulties in the beginning too, and I had to like restart my computer as they were
Oh.
all in the Zoom call. So I was like,
Oh
Jesus
man.
Christ. But yeah, it was like a 40-minute interview, I think. It worked out fine. It was like five of the members in the call. It was insane. It was like the
Yeah.
first official interview with the new lineup too.
Yeah, it's too many. You better. I mean, I don't mind doing a band if it's face to face, but on Zoom, I'm always like, look, two members is fine. That's three people trying to speak.
Yeah.
Any more than that, and especially on Zoom with everybody, latency of everybody's internet connections always different. And the thing is with Zoom as well, and when you record it, if someone's speaking, if other people start speaking, it affects the the quality of the recording. So,
Yeah.
as you know, being on Zoom, when you get multiple windows, they all start, they all pick up a sound, and so whoever is speaking, that gets affected as well. So yeah, it's a nightmare, man. God, the whole band, well done.
Yeah, well, it was sick, and like we did talk about Dismorta and like some '80s stuff, and it was awesome. But like I was really shitting myself during that interview, because it was like just talking to comics, I talked to in my local scene, and now I'm just like hanging out with Toxic. So I was like, Jesus Christ! But then from there, after the one after that was like Brian Tatler.
Oh
I'm like, if I can do this. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I'm fine, and everything after that has been nothing. You know what
that
I
that's
mean?
that's really weird. Brian is on my weird list of I've gigged with him, but I haven't had him on the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, straight. We
He's a
played
cool
with
dude.
we played with Diamond Head in, well, the first 5 dates of the Age of Entitlement World Tour, which then obviously ran straight into the pandemic. But
Mm.
yeah, we played with them up in get this, we played in December at the seaside town of Scarborough in a teepee.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
Diamond Head was also playing in a teepee.
Yeah, they were headlining. We were underneath them, and I think there was one or two bands on early as well.
Wow,
Bizarre. It was just bizarre. Really, really weird. But hey, there you go. So you had Brian Tatler
that's
on.
wild.
So and did that lead down the thrash route then, or
Yeah, because it's like, Brian Tatler, that's like a precursor to thrash right there. Lightning
yeah,
to the Nations, legendary. One of the, maybe arguably like a top three new wave of British heavy metal album. I think it's like a perfect front to back album, like extremely consistently good, extremely underrated band. And the fact that they're like playing in a teepee, you know what I mean?
oh yeah, it was fun.
You know, like yeah, I bet it was. um, but it, you know, from there, it's like, you know, I'm just gonna. It looks like the thrash guys, you know, are chill, and
Yeah,
I'm super into thrash metal. You know, like I love doom metal, but like what can I say? You know, I
yeah,
love thrash metal. It's a top. It might be my favorite subgenre of metal. So it's like, you know, I'm just gonna keep going down this rabbit hole, and I still am till this day, pretty much. And I think what I'm trying to do is get as many thrash guys as I can, and then I'm gonna be like, okay, now I'm gonna move to a different subgenre of metal and just keep kind of like just trying to get as many different scenes and sounds on my show
yeah.
as possible. That's why like I was really trying to get Laz Rocket on, because it's like that would be insane. Like Michael Coons or something.
How's that going? Is it going to happen?
No, it isn't.
Shit.
I was in talks with your
Oh,
guy,
yeah,
and there was one point where he's like, "Yeah, I can get like all three of them on." I'm like, "Whoa, that'd be sweet."
yeah.
And I was gonna have him on too, so it'd be like the four of us. But
I
yeah, so
get it, mate. Get him on. Get Mark on.
oh yeah,
I've had him on the Motorcast. He he designed. He was Motorhead's designer for the last few albums.
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he worked with Lemmy personally. He went to Lemmy's funeral, I think. Um, and also he knows all of Metallica. He's the one who connected me with Jason Newsted.
I
But he
saw that.
yeah, and I mean he painted Testament slash they were called Legacy back then. He painted their first backdrop.
Wow.
And like loads of people know him. He's like it's because like obviously Jason knows him, but he's been around the scene since the very, very beginning. So he can take you way back to like watching Exodus in Rufus Inn, with
Oh,
Kirk Hammett, watching, Mustaine and Hetfield together, all of that. You've got to have
insane.
I think I had him on. I did a Christmas special, two 90-minute Christmas special part one and part two. I gave my listeners 3 hours of content so they didn't have to listen to their families over Christmas. They could just listen to
That's
tales
awesome.
from the Bay Area. So oh yeah, make sure you do, man.
I definitely will. That's so cool. And I had no idea, you know,
Oh
because a lot
yeah.
of this stuff,
He's
like again,
steeped in history. Oh,
like
actually,
what's
funnily enough, hang on. How bizarre is this? This 40th anniversary Jump in the Fire sweatshirt,
oh yeah.
that was designed by Mark.
Oh no shit.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
these were for sale at the 40th anniversary gigs in San Francisco.
Ah, I wish I was there. That's
And yeah,
awesome.
they asked him to design some merch for them, which he did way back. And yeah, oh, yeah, I'll let him tell you about it.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to reach out to him. That's what's interesting about doing, like especially for me, you know, I'm 25. You know what
Good
I mean?
God, should be illegal.
I know.
I mean, are you allowed to do this? You're allowed to have a podcast?
I think so. I might have to sign a
Yeah.
couple
Have
papers.
you asked your parents?
I do have a permission slip, so
That's good. That's good.
looks like I'm good to go.
As long as there's a chaperone in the room with you, that's the main thing.
Yeah. I have someone in the corner over there, so
Absolutely.
we are
Yeah.
all set. But yeah, the
Yeah.
thing I'm playing a lot of catch up with a lot of these
Yeah.
bands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like even
Absolutely.
like just learning about scenes and stuff, it's like I have nothing. I can't even fathom what it was like, some of it.
Well,
So that's where a lot of my questions come from, of
yeah.
like trying to just get a grip on what a scene looked like, you know, the early days of a band, because like I wasn't even there for like some of these bands, like, you know, most of the discography is getting released. I wasn't even a
Yes.
thought, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
mean,
like,
some of the by the time you got into thrash, some of the great albums have already been like remastered, some remixed, and some re-recorded.
yeah,
Like,
like Rust, yeah, yeah, you're right, like Bonded by Blood, you know what I mean? And even Rust in Peace has been remastered, I
yeah.
feel,
First
or
Suicidals
killing.
re-recorded.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Flotsam
I
and
didn't know that.
Jetsam, their
Oh
second
yeah,
album,
oh
re-recorded.
Jesus.
I mean, it's like, yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, actually. It was like, what thrash bands have re-recorded albums and it's actually been, an improvement. And I'm just thinking, it's like
Do
it's
you think
none.
it is?
It's none. It's no None of them have really, improved it at all. But
Who prefers, like, who's
yeah,
listening to No
exactly.
Place for Disgrace and be like, yo, put on the 2014 version. That's way better. Because
Yeah.
they play it all
Oh,
like a little slower, and it all has the same, like, I feel like production back then, especially like the guitar tones
yeah.
were very, it's like, all right, that's Flotsam. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Where
the Suicidal Tendencies re-recording of their first album. I mean, the first album is an absolute classic, and the re-recording of it is just not needed. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've always got the first album. I'm not saying bands shouldn't do it. Feel free if you want to do it, because the original already exists. It's not
yeah,
instead of, it's as well as.
you
It's
can cover
just
your own music, you know what
yeah,
I mean?
it's just I don't rate any of them. And the first Suicidals, that the re-recording of that is just horrible. It's
I
awful.
don't think I'll ever listen to it.
Don't don't
I won't.
do yourself a favor. So no, I get it, because as you were speaking then about, like, like how, you getting into thrash, and I'm thinking, well, obviously when I got into thrash, it was like, when it was happening. So we were discovering, initially a band every few months, then a band a month, then a band a week, and then yeah, all of a sudden, right, yeah, we're hearing all sorts, and all sorts of stuff is coming out. Record labels are forming. um Majors are starting to sniff around after bands have done 2 or 3 albums now, and thrash is coming into the mainstream. Mega Metal Kerrang, there was a whole edition of
Kerrang,
Kerrang just for
yeah.
thrash. There was Mega Metal Kerrang, which was just separate. That was pure thrash. And also, one edition had a center spread poster of a topless Doro Pesh. I mean, these were the times to be alive. So um, and then, these are, burgeoning scenes forming, and everywhere you went, it was a case of, like, right, oh, like, they like thrash metal here, then, lots of people have turned out, oh, less people have turned out here. And it's just, it was incredible. It really was. It really was. And especially playing with so many American bands that we did, I mean, I went to see Nuclear Assault in Sheffield
Mm,
University, and 13 months later I was on the road with them, supporting them.
that's awesome.
And it's like, fucking hell, yeah, that's dreams come true shit right there. And but it was really cool, because it's like, we played with, like I said, loads of American bands: Flotsams, Death Angel, Nuclear Assault, Dark Angel, all sorts. And there was never a kind of like, oh, look, here come these sort of, here come the Brits, bit late to this, aren't you? Or here come the youngsters, only a few years younger than some of them, but here they go. Oh, it was all just on a level. They were all. Yeah, I remember we played a few songs off the Fear. We did. We played with Exodus on the Fabulous Disaster tour,
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, I know, amazing. But
Damn.
it was before the Fear came out, and then when they came back, they went to Europe. They did a whole load of dates. Then when they came back, the Fear was out, so we picked up support on the rest of the UK tour. And the first night after we came off stage, I remember Zep and Gary coming into our dressing room and just going to us, fuck yeah, guys, wow, those new songs, the Fear, man. And they were like,
That is awesome.
they were like, fucking rocks, man. Hey, I remember Zach going, H, you wail, man, you wail, which is a compliment, apparently. Um, that was, yeah, it was,
Wow.
yeah, it was really like, wow, you know. And then just to think about where you are, so much further down the line, and it's like, Thrasher's died and come back again by the time you discover it. You and I, complete opposite ends of this
Yeah.
thrash metal scale, but clearly no less passionate. I mean, for me, it's my drug of choice. It is my genre of choice. Everything else is secondary, pretty much. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can absolutely adore, love, worship music of other genres, but there's a part of me that gets, for want of a better phrase, triggered when I hear thrash being done well, and you know, and I kind of just there's just something inside me that just goes, yep, and leaps around like a child that just nothing else does it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and like same with me. Like a good riff or like just a good hook. It's like, damn, there's something about thrash metal that just like something awakens in me, and you just want to like just
Yeah,
tear the room apart. And it's like no other music,
yeah,
some death metal, but like so there's something about thrash that's so special. Um, it's so interesting what you were saying, how it's like both ends of the spectrum right here. Because I say this a bunch of my podcasts, but it's like you know, a lot of times when you get into music back in the day, it was like it depended on what your record store had. It depended on where you were, what scene you was around you.
mm,
Now you just pay a monthly fee, go on an app,
yeah,
and they go, here is 500 thrash metal bands, have fun.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's how I got into like, Acid Rain, Zentrix, Slammer,
yeah,
like all, that whole scene, and even like Tankard, and really started to dig down Sodom. But for me, it all started with Metallica, and I'm
yeah.
like, it's all right, okay. And
Well,
then I
do you know
what
what?
Megadeth was.
Let me stop you there. Same
Okay.
here. All those years later, same here. All started with Metallica.
Metallica.
Yeah. By the way, for anybody wondering why I keep picking up my cushion here, I have certain birds that get onto my balcony that I have to throw cushions at to
Oh
make them
my
go
god.
away. Otherwise, they just shit all over. It's pigeons basically, and if I don't, they just shit all over the balcony.
Yeah, I
So
saw you throw that. I thought I was
yeah.
like, damn, it's some pent up rage or something,
Yeah,
but
no, pent up pigeon, more like.
yeah, pent up pigeon rage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, my apologies for the intrusion, but yeah. So you were
All right.
saying, so you went. If you're going to say you went from Metallica to Megadeth, I mean, this is exactly what we did back in the day as well.
Yeah, well, you kind of just work down the big four, and then just go from
Yeah,
there, I feel,
yeah,
and especially having Spotify and stuff. And this is my theory of why thrash metal has like it's had a new life, because there's so many people now, just like me, who listen to Metallica on Spotify, and especially with this whole stupid Stranger Things thing going on. And then you're like, oh, I like this kind of music, but I wish it was a little more faster. You know what I mean? Or like I wish they kept with the faster stuff. Then they might get into Megadeth, and then they from there, it just
yeah,
goes down and down.
yeah.
And that's why like it's so cool, because like I saw Merciful Fate in the winter, and I saw Creator
Ah,
open, and the age range was just insane. It's like,
yeah,
whoa, you know what I mean? And it's because of like streaming services, because you
yeah,
don't need to, it's not all like, what does your record store have? It's just, just go on this thing, and you can just, this
yeah,
the amount of scenes and cultures and all this different, like, reaches of thrash, it's all there. So someone like me, I kind of absorb it all at once, which is a
yeah,
little daunting sometimes, because when you look at how
yeah,
many albums like Creator has, it's like Jesus, but it's like it's so much good music all at once.
yeah,
So it's cool. But you can now I can the thing is, what's cool about like, my generation, so we can judge things very equally now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not just, well, I grew up with, Peace Sells, so that's why that's the best Megadeth album, or I like this because of that. Where like, you get gems like this, that come out that no one knows about,
ah,
and is
yeah,
fucking fantastic.
yeah,
2004,
yeah, yes.
Chris Poland's third album with Megadeth, and it's like just a classic.
There's
It's a classic
there's some
album.
good stuff. There's some good stuff in a lot of bands' catalogs that gets overlooked. And that, as you've said there, that it's just the volume of music around right now. It's like, yeah, do you bother going back down someone's catalog, or do you just think, do you know what, I'm just gonna let the music find me and see what happens. And if I find myself really obsessing over this band, then yeah, I'll go digging through the catalog. But if not, then we'll see. But I've got to tell you, have you heard Cause for Conflict by Creator?
Yeah, I listened to their. I think I listened to their whole discography in one go. Actually, I can't say. I might have. I might have.
Right. Well, it basically, the reason I mention it is it's kind of like one of their forgotten albums. I think it's one of their best. I mean, I feel like a traitor saying this, because my favorite Creator album of my entire life is Terrible Certainty. I saw them on that tour. They were fucking amazing. First time I ever stage dived. It was
That's
just
awesome.
fucking insane. And but Cause for Conflict now, I think, has stood the test of time a lot better, and it's absolutely fucking
I
brutal.
have heard it. Yeah, it is good. It is good. 95.
Yeah,
I
uh,
just had to look it up.
yeah, and
There's so many records, you know what I mean, from
oh
Creator. That's a good one. That's an underrated one. I
oh
actually really
totally,
enjoyed that one.
totally. The well, there's a couple of songs. There's a song that's just over 2 and a bit minutes, and there's a song that's like 90 seconds, which is very uncreator. It's a very uncreator album, and it doesn't
Oh
sound
yeah.
much like other creator albums either.
Well,
Um,
that's what the thing is. What's cool about Creators, they never stopped. I feel kind of the same with like
yeah,
Tankard, where they just kept putting shit out.
they kept putting
So
stuff
that
out, but they did kind of have to change to suit the times. Renewal. That's not a thrash metal record, ladies and gentlemen. No.
mm,
There's influences in there, and this is why I say, this is why I personally think that thrash, did die. A lot of people will contest it never did, but I think, if not, it was in a fucking coma. um
yeah. Well, the
and
Black album killed it. I feel.
there's everyone's got a theory, man. I mean, everyone's got a reason for why thrash metal died. I think thrash metal turned the gun on itself and blew its own head off, because it was just a lack. It was a lack of creativity. It was a failure to evolve, and it just got swallowed by a load of other scenes. Well, like I say,
Like grunge.
it literally withered on the vine. Well, no, not just grunge. You also had death metal coming through,
Oh yeah.
absolutely leaking into every aspect of every genre. Um, so and then like on the back of that, you've got Carcass coming through.
Oh
So you're starting grindcore and shit like that starting to come out, and thrash metal bands are putting out a fourth album that sounds pretty much like songs off the first three.
yeah.
So the weird thing about thrash is it burned very quickly. It burned bright, and it burnt quickly, which is not something that we were used to in our community, because let's remember, there was heavy metal and that was it. The number two genre to appear was thrash metal. So there was only two genres around at the time. So for
Hmm.
thrash metal to have been consumed in such a short time, or to have died out and played its role in such a short time, if you think of the amount of other genres that appeared in its wake in the short time it was around, that's a phenomenal impact.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
phenomenal impact, because thrash was just the beginning. It made lots of things okay that weren't considered either okay or being done in heavy metal, which was playing particularly fast all the time, not having an image, being your image, just looking like a bunch of guys. That's it. Not having to dress up in any particular way or anything else, or lyrically not having one specific thing to say. You can go all over the place with it. The same as metal, yeah. But there was still like an edge to it that wasn't in heavy metal. And that's, and that's when you started seeing it bleeding over to punk and hardcore,
Yeah.
grindcore, death metal, blah, blah, blah. And all of that happens on the back of thrash. All of that. So, the thrash scene was kind of, our work here is done.
Yeah.
um,
Definitely. That's so
but like
interesting.
all true great originals, made a hell of a fucking comeback.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Didn't even have to
Yeah.
throw it, just got scared. Talking about the pigeons, by the way, listeners.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and it's so interesting. And I do think, I think there's many aspects. It's hard to really judge, especially with me, because I can really only look back and like put all a bunch of pieces together.
Yeah.
But I think it's many elements, it's
Oh
hard to
God,
really
yeah.
pinpoint. I do think the Black Album was a really big, contributor to that though, because Metallica, they were kind of like flag carriers of that,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's Metallica's growth, and no nobody who bought And Justice for All, um, didn't go. Nobody who bought And Justice for All, and then had the Black Album come out and didn't like it, didn't go, well, that's it, I'm done with thrash metal.
Except
And
if you were the guy in Exodus, didn't he like
I,
throw it down the stairs or something?
I no, I think that was was it,
Who was that?
or was it Dave Lombardo?
It might have been Lombardo.
It might
I
have been
know that
Lombardo,
story when
because
he
Lombardo
first
does
got it, he
say,
threw it
like,
down the stairs.
I think that's Lombardo, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But
which is
no, like
cool
I
because
like
Dave's
it.
always
I
been
like the
pretty out
Black
there.
Album. Yeah, yeah.
I do.
Like
I
it's
like
good.
it.
It has great
Yeah.
material. Like
But
the D side of that album is really good.
but I loved Nevermind at the same time. It's like they weren't that far apart from release timing and stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's strange times. Really, really
Really
strange.
weird.
You know?
Really weird. Yeah, the
Um,
90s, it seems like it's so different. So different.
yeah.
But it's like it's that's how music works, I guess. You know what I mean? It has a weird way
Yeah.
of evolving and changing. And it's cool now because with Spotify and stuff, where we've gotten to this point where we can look back at this whole, buffet of genres almost. There is
Yeah.
so much heavy music to look at now. And it's
Yeah.
still like there are still bands that are like kind of innovating and like doing stuff, but like we've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, pick and choose what you want, which is kind
Well,
of cool.
yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Well, yeah. I mean, music music has changed immeasurably since you know the scene was around first time round. Um, but I still think that there is. I mean, there's so much music around now, just so much that I'm not sure if it's a relevant comparison, but the thrash scene died because, as I said earlier, we failed to evolve, failed to really, you know, get the next iteration of the genre moving. Now there are bands who are doing that, and there's also, like, just a glut of, Jesus Christ, the production on this album is exactly the same as a
Yeah.
hundred other thrash metal albums, and and it's just bringing nothing to the table. But the thing is that there's so much music around now that it's kind of okay, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
the innovators are going to just continue to innovate, and we have that now because it's such a different musical landscape. Everybody else was innovating and thrash wasn't back in the day. Well, now everybody does. And also, you know thrash metal is a much wider term and a much wider encompassing term than it was back then.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, definitely. Well, you did have bands like Possessed,
oh wow, yeah.
that like really started to like push the barriers of like what and they're like death metal, you know what I mean?
Oh
But
well, without a
that
doubt,
comes
yeah.
out of that same thrash scene,
Yeah.
but they're like but that's it's not thrash metal. I feel like that's death metal, but they have so many thrashy elements to them. So in a way, I feel like you can argue like death metal was like just what thrash metal became
Yeah.
in a way, but as the genre itself, there wasn't a ton of places to go, except just get faster, heavier, louder, which
Well,
I feel like
yeah,
is death metal.
it kind of yeah, that's a perfectly reasonable case to make, that it just kind of changed name, really. um
Yeah.
but
Because it's a lot of the same elements, you know what I mean? Like a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of that.
absolutely.
But
Yeah,
it's like,
but it's
you
darker.
can't, it's
It's it
way, way
Yeah,
darker.
yeah,
Way, way, way.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not even it's not the same genre at all. Um,
No, no, but it's, I mean, you know God, we've really wormholed here, haven't we? We've just like
yeah,
literally
yeah. I'm waiting
disappeared
for
down a
us to get
wormhole,
back
down
into
a
the new
wormhole.
Megadeth album.
You're gonna be waiting a
Well, you
long
know what we
time.
gotta,
I don't
yeah,
ever want to talk about that.
you know what we gotta, we brought up the new Megadeth album.
Yeah.
Um, how about 72 Seasons?
Ooh.
Metallica's new release.
Yeah.
Have you
Well,
discussed that at all?
I have. I do it because I do a podcast called Old Bollocks once a month, which comes down the Talking Bollocks pipe, along with Movie Bollocks, which happens occasionally as well.
Okay.
And I discuss stuff with a gentleman from across your side of the pond, called Old Head. Well, his video channel, his YouTube channel is Old Head, and it's a review channel. And we got to know each other because he did some Acid Rain reviews of our
Cool.
old stuff, and then we gave him a pre-release copy of the album, and his review of our album is the best review there was. It's like he basically ticks every, as a band watching a review and listening to a review, you sit there and there's certain things you go, okay, right, let's see what this guy's got to say. And just one by one, he just knocks down all the key pillars that you're waiting for, that most people miss,
Mm.
or people get like, 3 out of 5 or 2 or whatever. But it was just like, yep, yep. Oh, he's good. He's ticked all the boxes. Oh, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I'd messaged him and gave him a pre-release copy of the album and all the rest of it. And so we just stayed in touch, and he became a patron of mine, and he still is. And over Patreon one day, I put up the idea that, does somebody want to do like, a podcast with me, and we'll, you know, and so he did it, and we did it. We did it just for Patreon, and everybody went, "That was great. You should do this as a show." So we now do one of those about once a month. I mean, they drop occasionally. We've done about 16 episodes so far. So they just, and we just review new stuff. But he's a massive Metallica fan, and I really wasn't sure about this album, so I'm glad to be able to talk about it with a bit more time, a bit more distance.
Yes. Yeah.
I've got the CD,
Me too.
which I didn't buy initially, and I didn't think I was going to. Didn't buy Hardwired. Didn't like Hardwired at all.
Mm.
But there was bits on this that I'd heard, and I was just like, yeah, do you know what? So, yeah, it's still too long. They still need somebody in there. They're like the Quentin Tarantino of metal. Do you know what I mean? You just want to go in there when they're finished and go, right, I'm taking fucking half an hour out of this. I'm making everybody else a lot happier.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just fucking need it. I
Yeah.
mean, and the dude they're working with in the studio he's got the title producer. Yeah, he's got the
Uh-huh.
title of producer. Yeah. So who's he employed by? The label. Who's the label? The fucking band. That's who. So, no, you're not in charge of your bosses. No, that's not the case, you know.
They can't
Um,
help themselves.
but they're also at a stage in their career where no, they don't want to get Andy Sneap in and make and be made to jump through hoops, and they did the Rick Rubin thing when they
Oh,
really needed something. And I still think that the
oh.
Guitar Hero mix of
Yeah.
Death Magnetic is the best Metallica album for fucking years.
Yeah, the last great, excellent Metallica album. I remember I listened to Hardwired before that one actually. Um, Death Magnetic blew me away just because it was kind of long. it's a double LP. I
Yeah.
was like, whatever. People were kind of trashing it. People were saying it's bad. When I finally got around to listening to it, it's like, oh my God, this is almost like it was kind of like a sequel to Justice, but it was like mixed with the Black Album a little bit. It's a weird record,
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely. Yeah.
so good. It is so The Day That Never Comes is like,
Have you got the Guitar Hero mix of it?
I don't. It's on YouTube though.
Right. Well, I'm more than happy to send you a link to some MP3s if you want.
Please. Well,
Um,
I would be so happy.
believe me when I tell you that you are about to love that album even more
I'm so
because
excited.
there's loads of stuff you haven't heard. There's harmonies you haven't heard. There's bass you haven't heard. There's endings to songs you haven't heard. Honestly, it's because the original mix, I loved it, but it's brick wall to fuck. This sounds like this sounds like a Metallica album before somebody went, do you guys want to get involved in volume wars and just fucking brickwall your album? Yeah, all right then. Because this version that I'm going to send you, oh man,
I'm ready.
it is just it's amazing, it's
And
amazing.
it sucks. Rick
But
Rubin, I don't know what he was smoking that day, but same with Black Sabbath 13, where Sabbath's last record, he just turns all the knobs to 11. It's like, dude, like chill, like let
yeah,
Tony's
just
guitar breathe a little
well,
bit.
to be fair, that's being done in mastering. It's not, it's not down to him. It's,
Okay.
it's down to some other twat somewhere.
Oh,
Although the masterer says that they were delivered that loud. Um, really, whenever you send your final recording to a master, you should always leave headroom, because the idea of
okay.
mastering, and this is for anybody who's not aware of this, the idea of mastering is that you add depth and width to what you already have. So what you have is sounds like the album, sounds great, cool, played it in the car, sounds great. Then you get it mastered and you play it in your car and it blows your fucking head off. And you go like, oh,
Mm.
right, I get it. Unless you're Steve Harris, in which case you go, I ain't fucking getting it mastered. Sounds fucking fine. So, basically so you get it mastered and that gives it depth and width and it gives it the size. It can't do it if the headroom's not there. So, you know, it anywho, fuck me. Let's get back to 72 seasons.
Yeah. Okay.
Rick
So, well,
Rubin didn't
I didn't know
produce this
that.
one.
Yeah. 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 Thank God.
um,
Keep him away from fucking
so,
Metallica, dude. I
so,
just can't.
well, just wait until you hear the version I'm sending you, mate.
I'm so excited. I'm ready. I think there's a couple songs on YouTube I've heard. Like The Day That Never Comes and something else. It's like, oh my God. Like
Yeah,
feels like I'm listening to it for the first time. You know what I mean?
and that's over shitty YouTube quality as well. You know.
Yeah.
Anywho, so 72
Okay.
seasons, 72 seasons. Yeah, it's overlong, bloated, um, and I think, well, no, I'll go into the nitty gritty later. Overall, what do I think? What do I give it out of 10? A 6 or 7, maybe. It's I really liked it for a bit. I'm not sure how much I like it now. It doesn't fare very well against the competition when I look at stuff that I want to play next. But I enjoy it when I play it. But also there are now songs that are becoming problematic. So I might have to playlist this fucking album.
Yeah.
Because there are songs on it that I am finding now are unlistenable for me. They're not,
Yeah.
they're not unlistenable per se, but for me, yeah, they are.
And any specific songs
Well,
you'd like to shout out?
I'm just opening up I'm just opening up the app here, but
Yeah, let me get the track list here.
so 72 seasons I
12
like.
songs.
Shadows Fall I love. Screaming Suicide I like. Sleepwalk My Life I like, but it's starting to happen. and then actually, I think Sleepwalk My Life and You Must Burn. You Must Burn, I'm not interested because there's just like, I'm just not interested in how many times James can say, how many witches do you need to burn? I'm just not bothered.
Yeah.
Sleepwalk My Life. Yeah. Luxor Turner, that is like a breath of air because it's purely because this is a bit too much of a one tempo album.
Hmm.
And Luxor Turner's like you know, you've come up for air, you get a big gulp of air, and then
Oh, Metallica.
yeah, and then it's Crown of Barbed Wire. This crown of barbed wire. No thanks. No, no. Um, there's no light. Turn the fucking
Lean
light
on
on.
me.
Yeah, yeah. There's no light. Somebody turn the light on.
Uh,
Yeah, Chasing Light. I think I'm kind of okay with Chasing Light. It's not the best song on the album. But then If Darkness Had a Song, I like. Too Far Gone is only 4.5 minutes, and I can forgive its kind of balls chorus, and just I can forgive it because it's 4.5 minutes long. And it's like,
yeah.
well, do you know what? If maybe I like this, they'll do more of that.
Yeah.
um, Room of Mirrors, great. Yes, it's a bit rush at the beginning, and I'm not losing my fucking shit over it like some people who seem to think it's like, you know, the best song Metallica have written in years. I like it. It's
Yeah.
good. Um, and then Inamorata, um, yeah, it's weird. It's the longest song on the album, and I like it. And I just it's this fucking bullshit middle section. Sleepwalk My Life, You Must Burn,
Yeah.
Crown of Barbed Wire. I'd lose that. If you lose those three tracks, maybe I'd have a lot more patience for the others. It's probably going to find out because I'm going to, you know, get rid of them off the playlist.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I am with the album in general. And then My New Shy, James is fucking killing it. He's never sounded this good in years. Lyrically, I get it,
Better than
James.
Hardwired
Yeah, well,
lyrically.
yeah, but it's just a bit too one-dimensional for me. I love James's lyric writing, and then, don't get me wrong, there's some great lyrics on this, but are you a bit down, son? I've got it. I've got it. And there's a little bit of whining on it that, like, you know, that's not that's not how I like my Hetfield. You know, there's a he's a bit whiny in places.
Yeah.
But you know, again, that's purely my opinion. And also on some of the songs, and I'm not sure if it's the songs that I've mentioned that I'm not keen on, but I think there's at least two songs where Lars does not hit a single tom, and I think he's doing it on purpose. I really do. I genuinely think he's trying to get through a song without hitting a tom.
I think you're absolutely right with that one. The drumming is so boring on this album. So bland, so boring. And like, listen,
It's
like
what a
this,
child would do if you gave
yeah,
it to a child. Like, go chat chat over that bit, yeah, and then stop, and then go chat over that, yeah, and when there's accents, you know, just go yeah, just do the accents, yeah, and you know, prime example is the end of oh, what's it called? I'm sorry, the beginning of Inamorata, the intro, and he's just hitting
yeah,
cymbals. I'm just like, oh, this is painful. Someone take the
yeah,
sticks off him. You know, I mean, I've used the expression before, not so much on this album, but definitely on Hardwired. At times, Lars sounded like he was drumming for help. Do you know what I mean? He
yeah,
sounded like he was sounded
yeah.
like he was trapped behind his kit. He was stuck behind his kit. He was trying to tap out a message that he needs to get off the drums.
Doing Morse code, you
Yeah.
know?
Force code, yeah.
Yeah,
So so
exactly.
so there you go. Kirk still uses the wah a lot. A lot of people like do hate him for that, but one of his all-time greatest solos, eh, on the Master of Puppets album. I can't remember which track at the moment. There's loads of Wah all over that. I was listening to it the other day, and I was like, yeah, we didn't know we were supposed to hate Wah back then. But the thing is,
Yeah,
30 odd years down the road, when he's still smothering everything in Wah, that's the problem. So yeah, he's functional. Rob does some cool stuff. But do you know what? No one anywhere is reviewing this album and mentioning the inverted commas rhythm section.
hmm.
And that's a real shame because they've got a beast of a bass player there, and
Yeah,
it's like they've got a Rolls Royce and they've got a fucking shopping trolley wheels on it. It's like, hey Rob, here's Lars to play with. Oh, okay. But
yeah,
it is what it is. This deep into their career, it's not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be more of Hardwired. And if it was, yeah, I really didn't like that album, and I was expecting it to just be more, and it would just annoy me more, and that would be me Metallica done with. And initially, when I heard Lux Eterna, I really wasn't sure about it, but it was the chorus of If Darkness Had a Sun, which I think is fucking amazing. And honestly,
yeah.
I can't believe how much I like that song because
It's
I
good.
really wasn't even sure about it to start with, because it is a classic in Lars doing fuck all the way through it. But it's a great tune. I love it. I love it. So that's me. I'm going to shut the fuck up and let's find out what you think.
Well, good insights, good insights. Now, with this album, it really, for me, when I first listened to this, it really established for me that this band has really written themselves into a corner. Because I feel like there's some elements where I'm like, okay, is this just the third Load album? Like, are they
Yeah, there is.
just,
Well, that's what I thought to Hardwired. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, every song is way too long. 72 Seasons, I really like. 72 is gone. Da, 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 da. Like I love that. And the riff is good, but it's a little too close to Hardwired, in my opinion. It's that classic, okay, we need to start an album with a thing. Let's just kind of rehash the Hardwired riff. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. It's a good song. It's way too long, way too long. Shadows Follow is actually a really nice surprise when I first heard it. I'm like, yeah, I can. It's almost a little Death Magnetic-y. It's a cool, like, demented riff. I'm like, I like this. This is very new. This is cool. I like this sound. And then Screaming Suicide, it was like what, the second single, I think. It's good. Could be a little shorter, but I like it. Nothing wrong with it. I wish, again, if you took the best off this and the best off Hardwired and made it one LP and
Oh yeah.
trim those songs down, you would
Yeah.
have a excellent record right there. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Sleepwalk My Life Away was when I'm like, all right, it's total snooze fest. And what's wild, what
Sleepwalk the
real
song away. Yeah.
yeah. And what's wild about this is this middle section of the album is what Metallica is favoring when they play this album live. They've never played Too Far Gone. They've never played Room of Mirrors. They've never played Chasing Light, but they play You Must Burn all the time. They play Sleepwalk all the time. They play Crown, I believe. And it's like I just don't, it's just so weird to me. Sleepwalk, snooze fest, as I said. And it's just like it's not really interesting. And by the time you feel like after listening to the song, you've heard it 4 times. You know what I mean? Because it just keeps
Yeah.
going and going and
Oh,
going. You're waiting for something interesting to happen.
it's
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
sleepwalking itself,
But actually, do you know what?
seamlessly just moving along.
But it's one of those songs that has the ability to annoy. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, I can't be bothered with this. It's like, no. I'm actually making a move towards a device across the room because this is fucking annoying me and it needs to
Yeah,
stop. Do you know what I mean? I really need to get
exactly.
it off my copy of their album, definitely.
Exactly. And it's like you go into You Must Burn, which it just feels like you're just like slowly just slamming your head against the wall. It's just that riff. It just keeps going. And listen, I love doom metal. You know what I mean? I'm all about a good riff for an hour and 7 minutes, but like it's just not really interesting. I guess it's their take on like cancel culture. I think I know Metallica got canceled recently for I guess I don't know, but it's just I don't know. Like it's wow, you're really I have not heard that take before. It's just a very common like wow, you don't like cancel culture, like what a hot take. So it's
Yeah,
like it's
yeah, yeah.
that,
A bunch of
you know
men
what I
and
mean?
a bunch of how old men
Yeah,
that
who are
don't
all
like
like
cancel culture.
billionaires.
But hey, they're allowed to though. They're allowed to
They
not like it,
totally
and
are.
they're allowed to say so. So anyway, sorry, carry on.
But
Your
I'm also allowed to like
album started
call
playing
it
itself there.
bollocks,
Yes, call it
talking
bollocks indeed.
bollocks.
Absolutely.
So I think it's kind of boring. Lux Eterna, I know people were really obsessed with this when this came out.
Yeah,
I can't the da 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 like I just can't really get behind that riff. It's
yeah.
cool.
I'm
I
deleting the songs off the playlist as well, off the album as we're talking. As you're talking about, I'm going like, yeah, no, yeah, agreed.
yeah.
You're out.
Yeah. But Lux Eterna, like I like it. It's a
Yeah,
good
that's in.
length.
That's in.
Three minutes 25 seconds. That's all you need. It's a good song.
Yeah, yeah,
It's nothing
absolutely.
crazy. It would definitely be a deep cut if it was on Kill 'Em All, but it's a good song. Crown of Barbed Wire, that James going this crown, like I don't
Barbed
know.
wire. Yeah.
Yeah, just nothing.
It's the whiny shit.
Yeah, and it just
Whiny
doesn't
shit
go
of the album.
anywhere. You know what I mean? And it's how long is it? It's almost 6 minutes. It's like, come on. Like, and then
Yeah,
and then we get into Chasing Light. I'm like, okay, we're going somewhere. I like the speed. I like the
yeah, yeah,
idea. I like the idea of kind of James, like working through his trauma and like, maybe, I'm not some useless, like, there's hope. There's not you're never out of hope. It's interesting. I like the idea of it.
yeah.
Darkness Had a Sun is cool. I do want to say this.
Oh, hang
The
on,
there
hang on. Let's go back to Chasing Light.
Okay,
You said you
okay.
liked the idea of it.
I
Do
did
you like
like
the
the
song?
idea of it.
Do you like the song? It's a
I
hard
think
song to like.
that my issue is
So
coming off of Crown of Barbed Wire and the rest of the songs makes it a good song. You know what I mean?
but
But if
yeah,
this was the
yeah.
first song off the album, I'd be like, all right,
Well,
this
it now follows Lux Eterna on my copy of the album. So I
yeah.
genuinely and I'm the same. I'm gonna see if the song benefits or suffers from those other songs being moved away, because those other songs being moved away and it's now direct between If Darkness Had a Sun and Lux Eterna. It might show it up as being, hey, it's not that great actually, or it might hold its own, and we'll
And that
see.
chorus has grown on me a little bit. Like it's also like short, you know what I mean? So it's like,
What,
wait,
Chasing
oh
Light?
my God,
Six
wait,
minutes
no, it
forty
isn't. It's
five
7 minutes.
seconds.
Jesus
Yes,
Christ. It's longer than
lying
Darkness Had
bastard.
a Sun. Oh my God.
Speaking of which, into If Darkness Had a Sun.
Yeah, I gotta listen to this one again. Oh my God. It's almost 7 minutes.
Yeah,
And then we go
yeah.
into Darkness Had a Sun, which is shorter. I want to say this about Darkness Had a Sun. I do feel the length on this one.
Ah,
Especially that intro. It takes so long for this song to actually start up. And if
they
you if
love
you
an intro on this album, don't they?
they love a
I
good
mean,
intro or a long intro.
the opening of Shadows Fall. I was going to mention actually. That is if somebody wanted to say what Metallica like, you go right. I'm just going to put this Shadows Follow, not Shadows Fall. I'm just going to put this Shadows Follow on for you. This is what Metallica are like, because the way it starts, the way they build the riff, the way they get absolutely maximum out of the riff before the song comes actually in, and you're into something like, right, okay, now the song is started.
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism. They're fucking brilliant at it. They're the absolute best. But they likes an intro on this album a little bit too much. And I agree. If Darkness Had a Sun, yeah, the intro without a doubt could be shorter. Because I for a minute there, when you said, oh, it's a bit too long, I was going to come at you for the ending, for the ending, because
It's pretty good.
when they flip the chorus, when darkness had a sun, here I am,
Yeah.
darkness. Oh man,
It's a good way to take the song out.
oh, but the way it flips, Lars, total credit, beautifully done, subtle as fuck, and it. Oh man, honestly, I have been screaming that out in the car. It is absolutely fucking brilliant. As
It's a
brilliant
good
as that
song.
is, the front is bloated. I agree.
And it's so bloated to the point where sometimes it's just like kind of like sometimes I don't even want to play the song. They do play it on, I think they played it on Jimmy Kimmel or something, where they like cut the song in half, and it's like that's what it should sound like. The intro was super
Oh,
short,
right, yeah.
and it's like, why couldn't they just do this with every song on the album? Make this just one solid single LP. That's a whole nother rant I can get into. The
Dude.
fixation on double LPs. All right, but
Well,
yeah,
look,
Chasing
I think
Light.
look, I think you've just made a very, very important discovery here. You have just made a huge discovery for Metallica's future career. And I don't think you realize what it is. We now know who needs to produce the next fucking Metallica album. It's Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
If they're going to start playing all the songs
Yeah.
half length, can we get Jimmy in the fucking room?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
That'd be
And
awesome.
and that's, you can even say the thing about Megadeth's new record too. Megadeth's new record too is a double LP. And I feel like
Wow.
it's like it suffers from the same thing where like there's fat in the middle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And if it's like with Dystopia, at least like they made sure every song, it's a good
Yeah.
length, float into
Yeah.
the next one, just play the side, flip it, and it's done.
Yeah.
We have this crazy, and I pre-ordered the vinyl, so I
Mate.
have the record, and it's like
Ah,
this giant. You have the CD, right? Is
no.
that not
I didn't know.
you?
I
You
didn't even
don't?
bother with it. No, I didn't even
Well,
bother
I
with it.
will say this. I will say this about the CD. Might be the worst packaging of any CD I have ever dealt with, because
Wow.
it folds it folds into a cross. You open it, folds
Yeah.
out, and then it folds twice up,
Right.
or like an inverted cross, I guess. And then the
Yeah.
CD is in a loose little inner sleeve that just falls out when you do that. And then you're holding this giant thing you've just like, and you're trying to remember how you put it back together. It's a disaster, and it's like,
It sounds, do you know what? It sounds a bit like, if you think about it, it sounds a bit like 72 seasons.
yeah, it kind of
Because
does.
that's
It, it's
fucking irritating.
it's very fitting. It's
Oh, well, talking of fitting, yeah. How the fuck does it fit?
yeah, it
It pisses
poorly.
me off, that thing.
But yeah, I will say Chasing Light. I'm now remembering that riff, like da 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 da. Like, yeah, that does drag on a little too long. All right, Too Far Gone. I actually don't mind. I think I was mixing up Chasing Light with, Too Far Gone, because that's the song about like literally, there's always hope for you, I guess. I guess I like it because I know it's coming from a real place, knowing what James has gone through. So it's like, okay, I respect being a lyricist and
Yeah.
doing and like kind of conveying your emotions. Like, I respect that. Um, not didn't blow me away or anything, just kind of a average song. Now when it comes to Room of Mirrors, though, that's where
Thank
things get interesting.
so thank you for padding there, Brandon. For those of you not watching the video, I had to go and kick some pigeons. There you go. But don't worry, my shoes are fine.
You got to get like a
Um,
dog on your porch or something, or some kind of
yeah, but that
scarecrow.
would eat the parakeets, the squirrels, the woodpeckers, the all the lovely things. So, nah.
I guess the pillow
Yeah,
works.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um,
Now, Room of Mirrors.
yes.
All right, we're getting to
Yes.
the end of the record.
Yeah.
This is my favorite song on the album. I
Mm,
really, really dig this song. It's a little structurally a little weird. it doesn't. It seems like sometimes in some places it doesn't flow quite,
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
But when those guitar harmonies kick in, it's like fuck, like this is a Metallica song. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And even just the concept of like the room of mirrors and having to confront yourself, it's cool. I like it, and it's just a cool song.
It's a good
Five and a
it's a
half
good song.
minutes. I'll give it 5.5 minutes.
Look, it's a good song. I'm not denying that, and clearly it gives you the kind of vibes that All Nightmare Long gave me when I first heard that on Death Magnetic. That section in All Nightmare Long towards the end. It's the
Oh, so good.
and it's just like, oh
Yeah,
my god, we're back there. They're back. This is fucking amazing.
yeah,
Um,
and it's a good song, but don't get me wrong, this doesn't touch All Nightmare Long, in my opinion. But it's still like
yeah,
a
that
song
is the
where it's
right
like
opinion.
oh my god, Metallica.
Yeah, they can still pull it out the bag occasionally.
After
It's
how long is this album? This album is an hour and 17 minutes.
oh,
So
man.
you're about 50
Oh.
minutes in, and you're like, oh my god, Metallica, a Metallica song. So it's like you listen to this and you're like, oh my god, in a Morta or whatever, is this gonna be like there or whatever the fuck it's called? It's like, is this gonna be like their, To Live Is to Die? Like it's their longest song? Are they gonna do like a crazy cool instrumental? Um, no, it's like a bar rock song
uh, yeah,
for
it's
11 minutes and 10 seconds.
the weird thing is, and I know exactly what you mean. Hey guys, let's rock.
You know
Um,
what pisses me off about some of the lyrics on this album though? I hate rehashed lyrics.
uh,
I even in Room of Mirrors,
yes,
there's a
no,
point where he goes, broke a beat and scarred.
oh
It's
no,
like,
no,
what? Oh, you're reminding me of a way better song, actually.
I know, no, I know exactly what you mean. Very good call, very good call. But I like it purely because of the rhythm in which he does it, because he does it in the broken, beaten, scarred, and he does it in the rhythm of the song "Broken, Beaten, and
Yeah.
Scarred." In the song he does it in, I can't remember. Oh, the one we're talking about. Um, but so he chucks it in, but he chucks it in the rhythm of that song in this song. So that's why I like it, because it's just a nice little bit of a, oh yeah, cool, like that little click.
Yeah, and it's so
And
funny because I don't like it because that same reason.
oh well, fair. There you go. There you go. Um,
I like
but
I don't know. Like for me with songs, I love when songs like stand on their own, unless it's like a fucking like concept album or something,
yeah,
and in a Morta or whatever.
in a
They
Murata, is it?
in a
Or
Murata, they do a line from My Friend of Misery.
oh,
Um
I hate it. Oh no, I absolutely hate the
and it's
rehash
like
in
and it
that
feels
song.
like with Room of Mirrors and in a
Misery
Murata,
loves
it's like
company.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it is.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
awful.
yeah.
Yeah, it is
And it's
awful.
like, did James run out of lyrics the last two songs?
Although anyone who likes Inamorata tells you they like it because of the huge fucking harmony bit in the middle,
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about. Do you know what? As much as we've sat here and criticized Inamorata, every time I listen to the album, I do find myself listening to that whole song.
me
You
too.
know,
Me too.
it's yeah,
And that like misery, I
yeah.
actually, it's not. I hate to say it,
Misery. It's like, yeah. I that
and then
to
how
be
it
honest,
goes into
yeah, now that yeah, that can go like, fuck off, basically. I don't like the ending to the song at all. It really yeah, it's just like it's getting rammed down your throat in case you hadn't already figured it out. Yeah.
yeah, and when it goes,
I'm doing lyrics, and to actually go out on them, I just kind of feel it's a bit.
it's kind of weird, but I do like how it goes from like there's a point when that goes from the chorus and it's like peak chorus, like James is screaming, and then it just does the riff, but just the lead, and it's like, damn, that sounds really good. Like there's a lot of elements where it's like, oh my God, like I feel like that should have been on like the next Load album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Like that's why it's like this album is so like it's almost like an identity crisis where it's like you even look at Death Magnetic where it's like, it flows well, it's all the same thing. You know, every song on this is so like nothing seems related at all.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's like, I can respect them trying to do like this cool, this weird, compilation kind of thing where like every song, like, if you like the Black Album, we got some of that. If you like, Kill 'Em All, we got some of that. But it's like, just write a Metallica record. You don't have to like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I get
I
it.
don't know.
There's a couple of songs in there that that I think. Well, actually, there's actually 3 or 4 songs on this album where I'm like, yeah, do you know what? That's a good tune. And for a new Metallica album, this deep into their career, after Hardwired, that I think that's as much as I could have hoped for. I really do, because initially, as soon as they saw 72 seasons and they wanted to show off how long it was straight out the gate, and we had 2 songs. One was like 3.5 minutes, and one was 5.5 minutes, and I was just thinking, oh God, every song on the album is going to be so
It's gonna be a
fucking long.
marathon.
Yeah, yeah,
It's gonna be a
and
marathon.
I'm heartened. I'm heartened and pleased by what has been, delivered. But anyway, fuck Metallica. Um, we've done it again, mate. We've just gone totally like
We totally have. We just did like a 30-minute thing on Metallica. I will
I know.
say, if we move on or whatever, I will say this, and I know people, I might get some shit, for this, and maybe from you, but I do like, I think Spit Out the Bone was like the
Oh,
last great song they wrote, and I think is better than doesn't nothing on this touches Spit Out the Bone. I think when I heard that, like, what a way to fucking end an album. You know what I mean? And also
yeah.
this album, uh, I don't think it's better than the Sick, the Dying, and the Dead. I liked Megadeth's more.
Well, I mean, look, it's the eternal struggle, isn't it, of the fan who likes both bands. And I've always been firmly in the Metallica camp, and occasionally Dave surprises, you know. Um, but Dave also has a much bigger catalog. When they talk about artists, doesn't matter what vein you're in. I've said this before. It's about the body of work. It's about the body of work, what you're
It
leaving
is.
behind,
Yeah.
you know. And uh, you know, love him or loathe him, Mustaine has put out has a phenomenal output rate over his career. Um, can't
And
go with you. Can't
yeah.
go with you on Spit Out the Bone. And I gotta be. Yeah. I got Dystopia. I got Dystopia on vinyl.
Me
Um,
too.
and I downloaded The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, and I deleted it fairly quickly.
Yeah, we did on coming out this Friday is the Acid Rain interview.
All right.
And that and we have a whole thing on the Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, which
Yeah.
is hilarious. And just the thing on, like, how we get into like Ellefson and stuff.
Oh dear.
But and it's a mess, that band right now, like
Yeah.
Megadeth. And I feel like I've burned so many bridges already with that band because I
Yeah.
interviewed Jeff Young recently in person.
Oh.
Um and I clipped one of the things where because I'm not sure if you saw, but Dave said recently that ever besides Marty Friedman, none of the members have done anything significant with their life, which is a pretty, quite a burn.
It's also what the fuck? What the fuck, Dave? I mean, did you just wake up angry? I mean, who said what? Did somebody piss in your cornflakes? What the?
Yeah. So
By
I
the way,
got
this
to
is this is this is supposedly religious fucking love everybody fucking Jesus Dave that we're talking about here. Yeah.
yeah.
whose bass player was a fucking minister in a religion. So I mean, what the fuck?
It's so funny, and it's just so the politics of this band are just ridiculous. Because so I got to interview Jeff Young because he was at a convention in Boxborough, which is a town in Massachusetts, only 30 minutes from where I live. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it, and I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna try to do an in-person interview.
Yeah.
It's trying to have a bigger outreach, trying to do, try to get some big guests on. I interviewed him. We did it in his hotel room. And I bring that up. I bring up the thing because that was all over the news, all the metal news or whatever.
Yeah.
Dave says, and
Dave says this.
Jeff just goes off on him. He's like, "Yeah, douche. Dave's a douchebag," and just starts like fucking going in on him. I'm sitting there like, "Holy shit!" I
Awesome.
clipped it. Loudwire
Yeah.
picked up on it,
Yeah.
and literally, in a recent interview with Disturbing the Priest,
Brilliant.
I think the headline was literally Jeff Young, responds to, in quote, douchebag Dave over
Brilliant.
remarks. And there's a picture of my interview. I'm like, oh my God, fucking never interviewing Dave then, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it is, man. That's how it is
It's
with
just burned my bridge. But it's like, it's so funny, and it's like just the drama is ridiculous. And it's like even the whole thing, and I know the people are like, stop comparing Metallica and Megadeth. Can we just stop doing that? But it's like, one, it is fun. You know what I mean? I love both bands. I love Metallica. I love Megadeth. I
well,
think
and
it's fun comparing the two.
also, it's all very well telling everybody to stop comparing Megadeth and Metallica. Okay, I will when Mustaine does.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
He stops, I stop. But until then, honestly, just gobbing off about like saying that about some of whom are dead. Some people he was talking about are dead. Yeah. Gar
And like Nick
Samuelson's
Menza.
Gar Samuelson's family. Nick, yeah, funnily enough, Dave's drummers. Yeah, it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Oh. And the funny thing is, I remember him saying this. I remember, just imagine Dave's got sulky face on. He's being interviewed, and he's like, yeah, everyone gets praised when they turn their lives around and find God, you know, except me. Everyone seems to think it,
Yeah.
and when it comes to me, everyone seems to think it's some kind of joke. And then you hear him say things like that, and he's like, well, Dave, it's because you say that you've discovered God and you say you've turned your life around, but you would appear to still be the same asshole. You see, the other people who got praise changed. You haven't. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a fucking joke. I
And
mean, that's
he's
just
never gonna tour with Metallica. There's not gonna be another Big Four thing, or any other show with Metallica, because
yeah.
he's pissed that down the drain. He has
Ah,
Metallica are so, they stay out of the media. They're very, they sometimes will text, other outside, you know, musicians and stuff. But it's like, Dave, it's every time like having opinions on Metallica and saying all this. It's like, just shut up about
oh,
Metallica. And
what
I
about
will
that?
say,
Oh, sorry, go on.
it's all good. I will say though, I do watch interviews, and people will, and if I ever, got to talk to them, the last thing I'm going to do is like ask them anything. I'm not even going to say the word Metallica. But a lot of people will try to, because unfortunately Dave has set a trend, and people look at that and people go, oh, Metallica is a big name, Megadeth's a big name, and Dave loves talking about Metallica, so we're just going to ask him about Metallica.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then now Dave's just trapped in this, he's being milked by Loudwire and all these things, and it sucks, and I wish he would just keep his mouth shut, occasionally text James a thing, or be
yeah.
like, hey, just listen to the new record. I dig it. Really fun. And he's saying stuff like, what really got me when he said, I wish Metallica would like be more involved with their other band members. You know, I wish they would let Rob write more and Kirk write more. Are you know
Really?
Megan?
Like you do?
Seriously,
Like you do, Mister. You There's a fucking revolving door on your rehearsal room. For
Mr.
fuck's sake.
Solo career?
And
You
I'll tell you
know,
what. I'll tell you what. One good thing about Dave Ellefson not being around anymore. Do you remember that embarrassing time when Dave kept mentioning, "Hey, it would be great if me, Lars, James, and Junior got together and jammed some tunes. That'd be an awesome lineup. That'd be great." And you're like, uh, yeah, in what universe? But okay.
yeah,
And it's like he repeated this nonsense madness 2 or 3 times. And it's like it kept appearing, and you just kept thinking, what is missing in your life?
it's like Dave, it's like I can see right through you. You know what I mean? Because it's either one of two things. It's either like the obvious trauma you still have, um, or it's how much of a financial asset Metallica is and doing anything with them. You know, and I feel like Megadeth have kind of, especially with the success of Dystopia, what they'll do, they'll have a lot of success in an album, and then they'll put out an album after and then try
But
to
shit.
and be a little hungry for it,
Yeah.
because that's Super Collider, that song Super Collider, that was like, all right, let's try to get some of that radio play. And then
Yeah.
that fell
It's
on its face. And then they're like, okay, let's, Dystopia. Let's just do a metal record.
but we always seem to
Dystopia did
have
good. And now we have Mission to Mars. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And
Yeah. This happens though. We had Endgame, which was great. That was followed by
very
13.
good.
Slab of shit.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck me. Just no consistency. It's all over the shop. But I've got Dave's stories for days that I'll tell you off air sometime.
Days.
Oh, days, days.
And I can talk to him about him for days as well.
I tell you what, though, mate. I tell you what, it's great to have dreams, but I warn you, there is only so far up the tree you can go as a podcast because there is a whole shed load of bands out there, and I can tell you who they all are who don't do podcasts.
Definitely.
Unless you are Jamie Jaster or Joe Rogan.
Definitely. Definitely.
I've tried. I mean, the Motorcast has opened a few doors for me, and I've managed to get some people on that I didn't think I'd be able to get on and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Newstead is. I listened to that too. That was incredible. That's so
mate,
cool. Well, even like
was,
Lost Rocket's not even trying to do my thing. So it's like, I obviously know
no,
there
no,
is
no,
a
no,
ceiling.
no, but no. That's completely different. That's people who've been out in the public eye too long. They've forgotten what to do.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, like
Absolutely.
I would be surprised if I ever do a thing with Dave or anyone in Metallica. Jesus Christ.
Well, I've the closest I've got is I've done Gary when he was in Slayer. I've done Scott Ian. I've done fucking hell.
You did Bobby Blitz, which was cool.
And obviously started off with James, and I'm just trying to think. I don't think of. I had Dave Ellefson on, so yeah.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
had
that's
somebody
cool.
from the Big Four. I've had someone from the Big Four, and all of them.
I'm in talks with the Dieth manager right now.
Oh,
Um,
really?
I might potentially do a thing with him. I have so many questions.
Oh, I bet.
I have so many questions. No one has asked him. Not a single person has asked him about the sick, the dying, and the dead yet.
Oh,
And I
wow.
think there is a way to properly present a question about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about wording. It is all about wording.
It's well, I slightly disagree. I think it's how you get there because I
True.
remember sitting down with Chad from Hell Yeah, and I'd been told that on no circumstances were to bring up the guitarist because the guitarist had just left, and it was the guy who he'd brought with him from Mudvayne who he started Hell Yeah with, and PR were really hot on it, and I sat down and we chatted. And after about half an hour, PR came over and was trying to end it. And he was like, "No, go away. We're having a really good chat." And then towards the end, I thought, "Oh, fuck it." I said, "Oh, what about, you know, so and so leaving?" He was like, "Yeah, man, I don't want to talk about it." I said, "Look, I don't blame you, dude. It's, that's got to be really fucking hard to deal with." And he then spent the next 10 minutes talking about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes someone else is saying that that this is off off the table or whatever. What they mean is not for the artist. The artist doesn't even know that you're receiving these instructions. Just, you know what I mean? At
Yeah.
some point the artist goes, "Why is nobody asking me about,
Yeah.
yeah?"
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay, I get it. It's off the menu.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
You're right.
I think it's how you get there. Do you know what I mean? If you have that, if you can build that kind of that rapport and that trust, and also making somebody feel comfortable enough where they can just, like for instance, exactly what we've done here. You wander from subject to subject. You forget you're in an interview. You're just chatting with
Those are
somebody.
the best interviews,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
I will say this though, it's all about the guest. And you kind of sometimes have to do your research. Like with David Ellefson, you know, I've listened to a few other podcasts that have had him on and have been like, yo, so Dave Mustaine. And then he just talks about Dave Mustaine. So I'm like, okay.
yeah.
I am not afraid to ask certain questions. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, and
Well,
it's like you
I
hear
think you're
that and it's
pushing
like,
against an open
okay.
door. I think you're pushing against an open door because I've heard him. I know he's pissed off that obviously he's pissed off that he'd recorded the whole fucking album. There was absolutely no need to do what they've done.
Yeah.
And my guess is that it's cheaper to have Steve Dorigo playing bass on the album than it is to have Ellefson. Simple as that. Like,
And Mustaine doesn't like Ellison. Like he's never just because he wants complete creative control on everything. That's that story with the song Kingmaker, where that
oh
little
yeah, yeah,
bass thing,
yeah, yeah,
in the
yeah. That whole
beginning,
thing.
and Dave was
Yeah,
pissed
yeah.
about that.
He's
Like,
been waiting for an excuse to throw him out since then.
oh yeah, oh
Definitely,
yeah, that
definitely.
was it.
Anyway, look, Brandon. Yet again, we do love talking about Megadeth. I'm going to get you back on. We'll call this part fucking one, right? Because like it's gone off the rails. We've just ended up talking about all sorts of shit, and we've not really gone into like your comedy career or
Oh
anything.
yeah,
And
comedy career. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess there are a couple of things to talk about, but no, this was fun. Listen, man, literally have me
absolutely, man,
on
absolutely.
whenever. Ton of
Cool,
fun.
cool. Yeah,
Love
love
shooting
it.
the shit. Thank you so much for having me on, man. Ton of fun.
Absolute pleasure,
Ton of
dude.
fun.
Pleasure.